In this video, I will show you how to install Adopt Open JDK, Apache Netbeans, start your first project, and get it connected to the GitLab repository. We'll begin by installing the open source Adopt Open JDK. The first step is, of course, to navigate to its website, which is adoptopenjdk.net. Now we get to choose a version. They suggest OpenJDK 11, that's the one that we'll be using, and a JVM hotspot or OpenJ9. Again, we will use the hotspot. Download the latest release. Click on this. And since my computer's a little bit slow, I have already pre-downloaded it. So while at this point you should be downloading it. And when it's downloaded, again, I should point out that notice that I'm on Windows here. If you are on a Mac or some other operating system, see the other video. I will post a link to it in the description. But anyway, here is the download for that currently. Oops, there it is. That's the next one. So as of this download, it was JDK 11 and 0.0, 0.9, 0.1_1. I downloaded the MSI. Again, so we can just double click that and install it. Make sure you read all of the license agreement before agreeing to it. And if you've been using a computer at all for a while, then you know pretty much how this goes. Very straightforward. Okay, so the install goes pretty quickly. We can finish that up. And now move on to the next step, which is Apache Netbeans. Now the next step after you've installed Java is to install Apache Netbeans. This is the open source version of that. Again, the first step is to navigate to Apache. It's netbeans.apache.org/download. And as you can see, there are a number of different releases. We will use the latest one, Apache Netbeans 12, Feature Update 1, NB 12.2. Again, this download takes a little while. So I've already downloaded it here. And when you choose the download, well, maybe I should walk you through that a little bit just because it can be. Okay, so we'll choose download. Then you want to choose the installer. Again, there are a number of different options. Choose the installer, and then it suggests a mirror site. And then when you click on the mirror site, click Save File, and then it will download for you. And when it's finished, it will look like something like this. Again, standard installer. Now on Windows, this is a little bit trickier than on Macs for some reason. And we'll see what that's about in a second. In other words, this, for some reason, has a hard time finding the OpenJDK installation, so we have to tell it where it is. So this may be a little bit trickier. Okay, it starts in the usual way. Configuring and blah, blah, blah. And then it comes up, and notice right here it says no compatible JDK was found. Okay, we don't need to worry about that because we know that we installed a JDK. It's just that it can't find it for some reason on Windows. Again, make sure you read the entire license agreement, every last word of it, before you accept it. Okay, so now is where we need to tell it where the JDK is. So the JDK here, normally this would come up with, if it found it, it would tell you where it is. But if not, then we need to browse for it. So let's browse. So go to this PC, local disk C, program files. Okay, and there's the adopt open JDK. And then we select the one that we installed. That's the JDK 11.0, 0.9, 0.1, etc. Okay, we say okay on that, and now it's happy. So it's going to be using this JDK, and now we can finish up the install. And again, this takes a little bit more, but follows just the usual path. Again, if you've been using a computer for more than a few days, then you should be familiar with how to install things. Again, the trickiest part was just telling it where to find the JDK, and for some reason it didn't really tell you that. If you're on a Mac, then you probably won't have to worry about this. Windows, then you don't need to worry about what's happening on the Mac, and vice versa. Fortunately, Java runs on both Windows and Macs pretty identically, but that's okay. So now we finish, and we have hopefully installed our Apache Netbeans. Let's just run it to make sure it will actually run. And when it comes up, it gives you this little splash screen. So we'll talk about what to do next in the next section of the video. Okay, now that we have gotten Netbeans installed, let's create our first program, the Hello World program. And to do that, again, this is the Windows version. When we start up Netbeans, we see that Show on Startup is checked here if we uncheck. But if we close that, then we are left with our main IDE. Now, if we look in the upper left corner, what we want to do is we want to create a project. Everything that you do is going to be in a Netbeans project. And so how do we do that? Well, we either click on this brown box here that says New Project. We can do File, New Project, or as it indicates, we can do a Control-Shift-N to create new. So being lazy, we'll just click on the brown box. Now we're presented with three different options for Java: Java with Maven, Java with Gradle. We want Java with Ant. And we want to select a Java class library. So make sure you select Java with Ant, Java class library, and then we go to Next. Now on Windows, they seem to have to do this dance here. I have not encountered that on the Mac, but it says we just follow the instructions. In order to use this, support for Java SE must be activated, etc., etc. So NB Java C API, we want to download and activate. And it's going to install this as a plugin. And be sure to read every single word of the license agreement before accepting. I'm sure you all do that. And then we install. And it has been successfully installed. We click OK. Now just wait a second. Don't hit cancel because it needs to take a few seconds to activate. Okay, so now we're ready to go. Here's how, again, what are we doing? We are creating a Netbeans project. This we'll just have to do once this course. Now, we're going to name it CS2173, the name of the course, capital CS, capital C, capital S. Now, before you go further, the project location, Netbeans projects, just to start with, why don't we, I'm going to leave it there, but if I browse, then I can select somewhere else, anywhere on the PC if I want. Anywhere I can do it. I'm going to leave it there, but if you want to put it somewhere else, that's fine too. Before going ahead, make sure you use dedicated folder for storing libraries. We're not going to use that for a little bit, but toward the end of the course, we will be looking at some third-party libraries, and we're going to have to use this. So if we finish, it's going to grind and whir a little bit, and then now things appear. So here's our project, and we see two directories here. One that lists source packages, that's what we use. The other for libraries. Right now, the only library is in fact the JDK itself. And actually, you can actually expand that and see all the stuff that's in the JDK. We're not going to use that. Well, we're going to use it, but we don't need to worry about it. Okay, so now here's the thing. Everything in all of our Java code is going to go into a named package. Notice here there's something called the default package. We're going to talk about packages in Java, but for right now, just know that everything has to be in a named package, which means we have to create a name in the package. So how do we do that? The easiest way I found is to right-click on Source Packages, select New Java Package. Okay, so now again, I want to call this CS2173, but important, the CS are lowercase. And that's just a convention, but the convention in Java that package names are lowercase. So again, we have a project, which is uppercase, and a package, which is lowercase, even though they're the same names. So we finish that, and we see that it's been created over here. And it looks like a subdirectory. And in fact, on the file system, it actually is literally a directory. But now we want to create our Hello World program. So to do that, we make sure you right-click on the package and say New. Now I want a Java main class, and I look for it here. I see a folder, package, Java class. Okay, I want a Java main class though, Java interface, and all this other stuff. I don't see Java main class, so I select Other, and I see Java. All right, there's the Java class. There's a bunch of other Java stuff. Here's what I want. Java main class. So I say, okay, this is our Hello World. Okay, I can't put a space in. Okay, so if you if you see a complaint about that, yeah, see the class name is not valid. Okay, that's not very useful, but just know that the class name has to be can't have any spaces in it. And there's a good reason for that we don't have to really get into. Okay, so now NetBeans writes a whole bunch of stuff for us. And what is all this stuff? You're probably wondering. All will be revealed eventually, but for right now, we just want to get this thing going. So there are things like, notice here it says package, CS2173. Okay, that tells it that this file is part of that package. Hello World is a public class. So in Java, everything is in a class. Why public? Well, that's so anybody can sort of see it. Similarly, within the class is a method. The method is called main, and it has called public static void main. What is all that stuff? Again, all will be revealed. Just know that this is the starting place for all Java programs, a main method like this. So now all right, so now in a quote normal language, if I want to print something to the console, I could simply say something like this. Okay, so print hello world. All right, now in Java, every statement has to end with a semicolon. It just anal that way. All right, but it doesn't like this. It says it can't find the symbol print. So there's no direct symbol print. Here's what we have to do instead. We have to type all this stuff, system.out.println ln. Okay, why all that typing? Well, there's actually a reason for it, and by the time we're finished here, you should be able to kind of understand what all this stuff is. But for right now, the object is to just get this thing working, and we see that there's no red squigglies, and so we can actually run the thing. All right, so this is how do we run it? Well, there are a couple ways. One way is to just right-click anywhere in this file, and you select Run File. And we see that it's printed Hello World there. A second way is to use the play button up here in the toolbar, about midway through. Run the project, and we click on that. It says, okay, it doesn't have a main class set. And then we can select the main class, and we do that. It runs the program again. A third way is to run the debugger. Now, toward the end of the class, I hope to spend some time showing you how the debugger works. It's a very powerful way to figure out what's going on with your program. But anyway, if we haven't set a breakpoint, then it'll just kind of run it like normal. And in fact, we can run it from inside the file as well by saying, instead of run file, we can just say debug file. And again, we have it there. Okay, so what have we done? We have created our first program, and it's the standard Hello World that is the first program in every computer language that you learn. And so the next step is to connect it with Git and GitLab, and that's the subject of another video. So I will see you then.